In the Black community, maternal health is an issue. It's a hot button topic right now for Black women going through maternal health. What is not considered is the subcategory, which is teen parents.
We are here today because of what you've already heard. We know that strong families are the building block of our society. We know that millions of children that are born to mothers who aren't ready to be parents are robbed of their full potential 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. They say more than I ever could about what is truly at stake in dealing with this problem of teen pregnancy. This is a uniquely American dilemma. It is really true. There is no advanced country in the world that has anything like teen pregnancy problem that we do, and we have got to do something about it.
We deemed teen parency or teen pregnancy as a crisis, right? But nobody's saying, how do you serve these kids? We recognize that there's a crisis. We know that there's a crisis. There's a lot of dollars that go towards serving the population. In the United States alone, $9.4 billion a year goes towards serving pregnant teens and parenting teens.
United States of America. And here are the stats for under 20 pregnancies and births. Show them number 11, white women. Next slide. What is the consequence of this, and who should presume to offer counsel on these statistics?
It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. And so we wonder why we have babies who end up in a trash can. And we're shocked by the stories. We see them on the news. Yet, did that child even know what she was doing? Was there somebody there to educate her and serve her? We want to talk about sex ed in schools. We want to have that conversation, but we don't want to talk about what happens in the event you do get pregnant. That's a much different conversation than saying don't do it. And we can say don't do it all day long, and they still do it. But what we do as a society with the biases and stigmas, we push them into a hole, and we tell them now the shame and guilt is applied to what you did. Now you're pregnant. It's your responsibility. No training, no nothing. It is your responsibility to now take care of this kid. You made your bed. You lay in it. That we are failing these kids in so many areas. I was a neonatal intensive care nurse, and so I understood that there were teen parents coming through the NICU. They had these babies, premature babies, and so there was an immediate need just recognizing the number of premature babies that was coming from teen parents. It was automatic. Now, how we served them when they got to the hospital, how we treated them, how we talked to them, how we educated them on what was happening to their 28-weeker, their baby that's born at 28 weeks. We didn't understand developmentally whether or not they understood, so we treated them like every other family that was in the NICU. And how? They're not understanding at the same level. So you're talking to a 14-year-old about her baby who's 28 weeks, and you're trying to tell them how long that baby's going to be in the hospital. You're also telling the needs of that newborn baby and why this baby is what we call an isolate. This baby, you can't make noise, a whole lot of noise when the baby comes in. You have to reach your hand through and touch the baby, and then skin to skin. All these things that we're teaching adults who comprehend that this baby is sensitive and you can't make a lot of noise, and why you can only visit at a certain time. Adults can understand that a little better than a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old. But there was nothing that was designed to teach them. And I recognized that. Now, was I a teen parent advocate when I was working in NICU? No. I just had a sensitivity, like my heart just bled for these kids, and realizing that these are babies having babies and babies with special needs. And I knew that there was something that we needed to do differently, so I would spend more time. But that was me. That wasn't a standard of care or a regular practice of care. What was your experience when you first found out you were pregnant?
My experience, it wasn't the best experience at all. My worker,
your CPS worker,
unfortunately told me that I would either have to get rid of my baby or she was going to take my baby. That was the very first sentence that came out her mouth. And me not having family, my daughter was like, oh, this is my start. Like, you know, my family, hey, I'm pregnant. She's like, I'm going to take it. And I'm like, whoa. Like, you know, that's kind of felt like that was the goal the entire time, you know.
So when you were going prior to coming to us, when you went to your doctor, any of the doctors that you saw, did you feel like they were listening to you? Did you have questions for them? Did you know anything to ask?
They did ask me questions, but it's a lot of it is like wham bam, thank you ma'am. Like I'm here, let's listen to the heartbeat, and then is there anything you need to ask me? And some of the stuff we don't even know we should ask, like, you know, so it's kind of hard to even get in the groove of a doctor because nobody teaches you how to talk to a doctor.
So if you could tell healthcare providers, if you could speak to them and you could say to a nurse or a doctor or anybody who is serving a pregnant teen, what would you want them to know?
I need you. But it would be nice to know, they need to know what is, you know, going through our brain. They need to know where we are coming from to let us know how to get to them.
Unfortunately, about 70% of our gross domestic product is from healthcare in this country. Our country was founded on healthcare. It's a business, unfortunately. And to have a business thrive, you need sick people. So unfortunately, our teen parents who are categorized as non-compliant or resistant, you know, you have to look at the source. You have to look at where the research has come from. You know, what is motivating this literature? Who's funding these research projects and why? So until you can, you know, take an investigative approach to what's being published, you really can't take a lot of that as face value. So absolutely not. I don't believe that teen moms are resistant. Teen dads are resistant. A lot of them might be misinformed, you know, might have different social determinants of health that got them into the situation they're in. But no, if they had the information, they'd take it. If they had the social support that they needed, they might make different decisions. But again, it's a systems issue. You know, it is operating as a business, unfortunately. It is not in the industry of care and compassion.
So if we're spending that type of money because kids are having babies that are ending up in the NICU, or kids are having babies that are low birth rate, and that is a concern for the lack of or inadequate prenatal care because they're not going to every visit. Why do you think that they are not? Because now it's money, right? So even if we look at it as a business, I'm a business owner. So I'm going to follow the money. So if the money is, if we're spending all of these resources over here, why wouldn't we do more in preventative for the health of the child? Okay, we're talking about, one thing is preventing pregnancy. But now let's talk about preventing low birth weight babies or kids that are ending up in the NICU. Oh, I just had an aha moment right now. Okay. So, but why do you think that is? That they're just not then redirecting and saying, let's prevent kids, babies, the babies of the babies.
There's still no money in that. Because who's, you know, making the incubators? They're getting paid every time a baby's in them. All the tubing, all the fluids, all the meds, all the blinkies and the little diapers. It all costs money. Somebody's getting that money. And so, again, at the end of the day, it's not the priority. It's just not. And I wish I had something eloquent to say. I think that's part of why I prioritize public health and population health, health promotion, disease prevention, because I don't want anyone to go into the system in the first place. If you can avoid it, do.
So realistically, when they told me I was really shocked and nervous at the same time. Like, I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do with the baby. Like, I couldn't believe that I was really pregnant, or that I could even get pregnant at that. Like, I didn't even think, I don't know, like, I know teenagers can get pregnant, but I didn't think, like, I would be that one.
Did you feel connected to your healthcare provider? Did you feel like this was a trusted partner, like somebody who was walking you through your pregnancy?
No.
I
didn't feel connected at all. I just felt like especially I think my last prenatal visit, which they induced me at 39 weeks. But prior to me being induced, I didn't understand what was going on. And I know it wasn't even my doctor. I know a nurse came in. So she checked me and she opened me up to 2 centimeters. I didn't even know you could do that. Yeah. I mean, as I've gotten older and, after the first one, you pretty much can kind of tell like how it's going to be from that point when having kids. So once I started having more kids, and then really my fourth one, I started to ask more questions in regards to my pregnancy, especially with my fourth one going through that scare. I didn't know, having to see a high risk doctor. I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? Like, what does that mean? Having to ask questions, I feel like is really important. But I know some teens can be really scared to ask questions because they don't know what's going on, or maybe even how to ask it.
So the title, Worth One's Salt, it actually came from my grandmother. It was a term that my grandmother used to use. And she used to say all the time that a person is not worth their salt. And it was just literally something she would say all the time. The definition actually addresses the healthcare industry. And what it's saying is that be worth the work that you do. The money that they pay you to do the work. Be that person. So if we're paying you to do a service, be worth that. Be worth your salt. If we're saying that you are an expert in the field, be worth that. Like, really stand up to that and really measure yourself against the standard of care that you say that you're doing. And that's what the call is for. So it's asking people to really consider, are you worth your salt?
Now, for me as an academic, I'm always sure to make sure that the groups and subgroups and even micro subgroups are covered in my classes. But that's not everybody, because not everybody's in tune with the community and real issues that happen.
There's a lot of conversation around Black maternal health right now. It's huge, and if there's acknowledgement that women are dying and women are not getting the right treatment, that there's health disparities, the conversation is there. But where is the subcategory? What about our Black adolescents? What about our teen parents that's in that category?
We come from a people who every time we try to carve out and start from scratch, it's burned or you're murdered or you're lynched or you're dragged through the mud in media,
or you're accused of promoting
or
condoning or encouraging, and we also see that within the Black churches. It's the same thing when it comes down to teen parents. I tell people all the time that my organization was never designed to do teen pregnancy prevention. That there's people that do that. Mine is after the fact. And then after the fact, and now they're here. What do we do now? Because they're here. Love them.
Everybody makes mistakes. And who says it's a mistake?
Right.
There's so much work to do. And, I'm really proud of organizations that are bold and actually do the work. And we need more of that.
I am the founder and CEO of Purposely Chosen Incorporated. It's a nonprofit organization that serves pregnant and parenting teens in the foster care system. The organization started in 2006. That's when I founded the organization. And for me, it was purpose and pain and all of that colliding. And I knew that this was something greater than me, and that I had to dig deeper to share a more personal story if I was going to be effective. And that story was, yes, I was a homeless youth. But I found out when I was 15 years old that I was pregnant. After I had become stable, I had gotten into a stable environment. The lady that took me in, it was amazing. She didn't ask any questions. She just said you have to pay, a utility bill, you have to go to school. And I had dropped out in 10th grade. So I was just like, okay, that's fine. I can do that. And I was committed. She said, you have to work and I'm going to do this. So I did. And then found out that I was pregnant, and she said, I said, you can come. I didn't say you can bring no baby. And I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated, and I didn't know what to do. Because of that, she said, you can leave here or you can get rid of it. And those were my options. And I made a 15-year-old decision to terminate the life of my child through abortion. And it was something that I lived with. It was painful, but it was a secret. And I kept it close to the heart and close to my chest. But I went on to succeed, right? So I graduated high school on time, all trying to prove to myself that the decision I made was worth something. I was going to make something out of my life so that I wouldn't live with that level of regret so much. It didn't lessen it, but it just made it more tolerable. I went on right out of high school where I graduated and went right into nursing school. And so now I'm committed to just succeed. And I just feel that God was calling me to higher and saying, no, you have to dig deeper. And yes, this was something you did. And yes, it was the secret, but I'm going to use this thing to become something greater. And from there, I submitted the program. I defended the program with the county and it got accepted. And that's it. And here we are. I don't think you ever forgive yourself completely. Though you try. And so I think every day that I serve a kid who has the courage to keep their kid is something that I couldn't do and didn't do. And so I just feel like I have a place, and which is our mission, right? Our mission is to help teen moms keep their babies. And it's literally by any means necessary. If you come to our organization and you say that you want your kid, I got you. You will never have to make that decision that I had to make for a roof over your head. I got you there. I got you with a roof. I got you with car seat, stroller, like anything that you need. And the program was really designed when I wrote it based on my need. And I didn't know if that need was true. I didn't know if it was true. I didn't know if I had all of these things, I would have kept my kid, but I felt like I did. If there was a purposely chosen that was there, I would have kept my kid. If that lady said, you can go down the street to purposely chosen, they have a home, that will take you in and you're able to keep your kid, hands down. So I wrote the program from that perspective. I'm not the only one that does this work. Lorna Little, who is the president and CEO of St. Anne's Maternity Home in Los Angeles. It is literally the largest maternity home that we have in the state of California. For the past 4 years, Lorna has been the president and CEO. When I started to work on the maternity home program is when I started to do research within the state of who was currently serving pregnant and parenting. And I discovered St. Anne's. I was so excited, but I was also devastated because St. Anne's was not an option that was given to me by the lady that I was living with. So then I learned that St. Anne's was around in LA since 1908. There's a place that takes pregnant and parenting. There's a home that they take them in, that they can stay. Why wasn't that my option? I'm gonna get emotional again. And why didn't she know about St. Anne's? That was my introduction to them. All right, so tell us about the work you do here at St. Anne's.
Well, I am the president and CEO of St. Anne's, and it's an organization that has been around since, 1908.
Yes.
And it is an amazing organization that has grown from what started out as a maternity hospital. At the time, young people went away, had their babies, worked with their families, and made a plan of adoption. To then, as times changed and who then it evolved into, a full service social services agency, realized that in order to have moms come in, we needed to have a mom baby program.
Wow.
And so it continuously evolved to then getting to a place where housing was available. And then it was like, okay, now we need more housing. We went into transitional housing, which is a full service program. And then we went into permanent supportive housing. So we have a 39 apartment building that someone can stay there with their child, single mothers and fathers.
Wow.
And families. And so that is our newest aspect of our program, Beverly Terrace, and all the pieces in between, because we have counseling available for the individuals in our programs. We have community-based services. So it really evolved into a full service program, starting out as a maternity hospital though. We love to say that we assume that someone should know something. If they've never been taught, how would they know?
Yeah.
Making a bed, parenting. And the other thing is what we do, and I believe in, is we have to break some generational cycles.
Yes.
And whether it's abuse, whether it's looking at poverty, we have to work towards that. And it's not easy, but you have to believe it can happen. I tell them all the time, I've told young women here, I expect you to take my job down the line. Yeah. They look at me like I'm, I have 3 heads. I said, no, I do believe that. If you do what you need to do, though, everything you have to work hard, but you can take this position. I'm here, so you can be here too.
Yeah.
Once again, this is not advocating teen pregnancy. We're dealing with a situation that has already occurred, and a young person is saying, I want to have my baby.
Right.
I think what you tell them is, look, do your best, and we will help you do the rest. We will try to support you. We will give you skills. We will be the hope when you don't have hope in the moment. And if at the end of the day you feel like you can't do this, then that's the next conversation.
I feel so connected to that organization because it could have been my safe haven. And then to know that she is doing the work that she is doing there, it all makes sense to me. And so, I think we'll always be connected and forever connected in that way. Yeah. So Rosemary's Babies Company is an organization in Cincinnati, Ohio, who serves pregnant and parenting teens in the sense of advocacy and resources for them. She's currently working on a project where she is expanding her services to house these teen moms in her care. But right now she is a resource center and she's a powerhouse there. So she provides daycare services, any type of emergency services that they may need, transportation to healthcare institutions, and just that support, that overall support. Because one of the hardest things in the teen parent community is that they never feel supported. And so it's interpreted outside of our community that if you support them, you're condoning their behavior. And so it's hard to find people that support them. And so she's an advocate in the sense that she provides that support, and she is bold about it. She's very, very bold about it. And she lets everybody know that she is an advocate for this population.
Actually officially opened our doors in 2016.
I know that you had mentioned before in prior conversation about your mother also being a teen mom. How do you address that with the naysayers and the people that talk about this statistical stuff, like this generational stuff, and you breaking the cycle? Did you feel an obligation to break the cycle?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My mother was a teen parent. Her mother was a teen parent. My brother was a teen parent. My sister was a teen parent. I was the youngest one of all of them. It was not only my goal to break the cycle of teenage parenting in our family, but to break the cycle of not being homeowners, not being wives, not having education. We're going to break all of these cycles. Yeah. And so I did go and get my degree. My sister owns her own business. My brother is a manager. But with the education that I got, I went back and I took it to my siblings and said, we're going to make sure that none of our children are teen parents at all. Yeah. when it was kind of like this truce that we all had, like, we gonna make sure we stay on top of all of them. We're gonna put education first. So when I moved, I brought my family with me, and now I'm making sure that these teen parents change their trajectory as well as the trajectory of their children.
Yeah.
Who's gonna teach them? Who's gonna hug them? Who's gonna tell them it's gonna be okay? It has to be people like me, people like you, organizations like the ones that we're in today, that your future can look different. You will blossom, that you don't have to be a product of your environment, that your zip code should not determine whether you are in poverty or determine your health care. It should not.
Right.
But it takes everyone else to open their ears, their eyes, their hearts, and have empathy for these children, because that's what they are. I was a child.
Yeah.
And it took me a very long time to mature into the woman that I am today and be the voice that they need. So every time I go out here, I want people to understand it's not my voice and my story that they're hearing anymore. It's the voices of my babies, and I won't stop.
I love that. Hello. Hi. Rosemary. This is Lorna Little. Nice.
This is a dream. I mean, they're telling me about your program, everything that you all are doing, and just the whole spectrum, full circle, is like exactly what these young ladies and fathers, I don't know if you said fathers, but parents need, period.
Yeah, no.
Period.
So I want to invite this topic to the table of maternal health. We can't deem something a crisis or a concern within the healthcare community and not look at all ages. Now, some would argue that you shouldn't have to, that maternal health for Black women and understanding that there's health disparities should be across the gamut. That argument doesn't work because of the developmental stages. The developmental stages is what makes this complicated. But we also have to look at when you have children in these categories who fall under maternal health, right? They're children, though, that fall under maternal health. You got to put them in a subcategory. You got to shift and say, yes, so we are talking about teens that are African American that are experiencing health disparities. And then we can continue the conversation. You know, my work continues, but at least the purpose of this film to inform and to just make you aware, because maybe it's something that people are not. And I'm at that stage where I can believe that maybe people just don't know. And maybe my job is just to bring it into your awareness. Maybe that is the job, to bring it into your awareness. And now, since it's in your awareness, you have a responsibility, especially when you've taken an oath, right? And especially when you have said that this is the work that you will do. Now, let's see if you're worth your salt.